Welcome. My name is Barbara Marcum. I'm the Director of Senior Resources for the City of Westland. With me today, it's my pleasure to introduce Mayor Kevin Coleman. And we're going to talk a little bit about your journey, and we'll start from the beginning. When did you decide you wanted to run for political office?
Well, I tell you what, I go into city council meetings in my mid-20s, so about almost 15 years ago now. It was kind of like a hobby, just at the old city hall on Ford Road.
I remember.
My cousin Peter and I would pop in. He's now a councilman, Peter Herzberg.
Right.
And we popped in and we'd go to town halls, city council meetings. Glenn Anderson was our state senator back then. We'd go to his town halls. Richard LeBlanc was our state rep. Go to his coffee hours. Mayor Wild had a lot of events. We'd come over and take notes and try to get involved in the community. It wasn't until 2011 that I gave it a try, though, and actually lost my first race for city council. I got on the ballot and just ran a quick 2-month campaign. Didn't quite know the ins and outs of local politics, but I gave it a try. 2013, I ran again, really built up a campaign team, learned how to knock on the doors and advertise and do the marketing and the outreach to the community. And ran a successful race, came in second place that year and won a 4-year term on council. So that's where that started, yeah.
Well, okay, so how did your council experience, you were in the State House as well, how did that prepare you for being mayor? It's a big job, but I mean, I'm sure that you learn from different things you do all along the way. How's that helped you?
Well, city council, I got to see former Mayor Bill Wild. I got to see his leadership, his style. Going up to the state, I worked firsthand with Governor Whitmer and leaders from all across the state. A lot of those state reps up there and state senators, they're former mayors of small towns or former police chiefs or all kinds of people. So you really get a really wide perspective, and it kind of broadened my horizons to what's possible in government, how to serve the community, how to interact with residents, make sure they're getting good services. So I think it really set me up to come in as mayor, focus on the different needs of the community. We got a lot of people we got a great city, a lot of people doing really well, but we got a lot of people who have a lot of need too. And so, and
I
you
can
know that.
attest to that.
Yeah, you know that, and I know you've worked really hard over the years, especially with the seniors. But it really got my focus on let's help people out, and that's what I really love about this job. People always ask me, what's your favorite part of being mayor? It's making people happy and improving people's quality of life. So
It's actually my favorite thing in my job as well.
yeah.
Yeah, it's really great. Okay, so how have your first 100 days gone? Okay, we talk about 100 days and it's like your big 3 months, and we look at the president and we ask first 100 days. So what has your first 100 days been like? How do you feel about it?
It's been exciting, but it's been also pretty challenging. It's my first time in an executive role. We have about 350 city employees. We have unions. I have my top administrative appointees. You're one of them. We got a lot of great people, though, and that's what's made it really a blessing, is just the city staff has been so warm and easy to work with. There's been some challenges. City council is kind of almost like a 50-50 thing right now, where some of them are easier to work with than others, but that's part of the job.
There's always been challenges, right?
Yeah,
right from the beginning.
Yeah. And I've been in that
Even
role.
on
And,
council.
yeah, I know how that goes.
Yeah.
Where sometimes I was probably easier to work with or not. And
Yeah, well, it comes and goes.
yeah. It's
Ebb and
politics.
flow.
Yeah. But we've tackled a lot already. We have plans to rebuild 2 of our fire stations out of the 4 that we have. We're going to hire 15 firefighters with federal money, which helps kind of take a little pressure off our city budget. We're cutting in some areas so we can fund out keeping those firefighters past the 3-year grant funding that we have from the federal government. And then we're hiring 4 additional police officers. So I campaigned on public safety. We're already hitting the ground running, making that happen. We're going to improve police and fire.
Now, which fire stations are we looking at? You said rebuild them. Are we building new ones where the old ones were? How is that going to go? Do you know?
One is Station 2. That's the first one. That's
Which
over on Merriman, just south of Ann Arbor Trail.
Okay.
We're actually going to move that a little bit south to the old Hawthorne Valley golf course site,
Yeah.
which the city owns.
Oh, yeah.
I got state funding for that last year as a state representative, a $7 million state grant. Secured that, and now I'm able to spend that. We're going to knock down the old one as we're
Building the new.
Well, we're going to build the new one and then knock down the old one
Right,
because
yeah.
we got to have a fire station.
Right.
So we've been talking to City Council about that and what our vision is there. We want to move the administrative offices there as well because we have the funding to do all that. If you look at the old fire administration building on Marquette, it's one of the oldest, it may be the oldest building the city still has. It needs a lot of work, and I think we want a professional atmosphere and building for our administrative staff to be in. Just makes for a better work environment, a better flow. They're right there with the firefighters and the training center as well. So it just makes a lot of sense to have that all in one place.
Well, certainly.
Yeah, and Fire Station 4 is the next one on my list.
Okay.
That one is on Palmer, just east of
Vinoy.
actually of Newburgh. Yeah.
Oh,
The
yeah,
Vinoy
okay.
one is the old Northgate station, which
Yeah,
has been
that's
closed.
closed.
Yeah.
Okay.
But we have 4 citywide. 2 of them are in good condition. 2 of them are in pretty bad condition. So we're going to rebuild those 2 that are in pretty bad shape. And then that'll help us house the 15 new additional firefighters that we're hiring. And our firefighters in Westland double as EMTs as well. So that's when you call 911, that's who you're relying on to come help you out. So it's a pretty important service for the city. We want to make sure those response times come down and people get that 911 emergency service.
It's essential because first one on the scene, I was a first responder myself when I was a camp director in college.
okay.
So I know exactly you need to know what to do and how to do it and right away to do it. So it saves
Absolutely.
lives. It's important.
Yeah.
Okay, so I will tell you, with the border that's out of control, okay, seniors particularly have mentioned this to me numerous times, okay, about I'm fearful now. Crime is going up. You see smash and grabs. You see all of those things you see on social media and on television. I am huge about police presence. You just said you were going to hire some more police officers. I think that definitely the senior community feels good about that, about being supportive of the police department. Tell me a little of that.
Yeah, and I got to tell you what, he's fairly new. He's just about a year on the job.
Yeah,
Kyle Dolly
yeah.
is our new police chief. Very impressed with him. He holds the police officers accountable, but he also supports them as far as the training that they need, getting them the equipment they need, and having their back. So that's the kind of leadership I was looking for in a police chief, and I'm really fortunate that he's our guy right now. Hopefully he stays a while and we can work well with him. But there's 2 things that we put our heads together on when I became mayor a few months ago. Mm-hmm. One is the 4 new police officers. That way we have more patrols out on the road. The other thing is we're going to restructure the command staff. So we're a little bit top heavy. If you compare Westland to other departments, a lot of our neighboring departments have a lot more sergeants and just patrol officers than we do. We got a ton of lieutenants and deputy chiefs. So we're going to shave down a couple of those positions at the top. We have a few guys that are retiring over the next year. We're just going to not fill those spots, free up for more funding so that we have more patrols out on the road. Because that's something I hear every day is, well, why don't I see a patrol car going down my street or through my neighborhood? Well, we can't put a car on every corner, right?
That's right.
It's just not feasible. We don't have the funding to do that. But I am looking forward to having more units out in the community. You're going to see more police as we go through the next year or 2. You're going to see quite a few more.
So looking into the future, okay, and that may be years and years. Okay, so growing up in Westland.
Me? Mm-hmm. Well, I grew up in Redford. And I moved to Westland when I was about 12.
Well, that's still,
It's
we
still
don't
growing
remember
up.
a whole lot before 12, so
That's
you've
true.
been growing up in Westland from 12
and
on.
I'm 40 now, so majority of my life.
Has been here.
Yeah, has been here. Yeah, and I've lived in a few different parts of town. So I grew up, when my family first moved to Westland from Redford, I was over off Hicks by Hicks and Warren.
Yeah.
And actually, former mayor and current judge Sandy Cicerelli lived around the block from me. And I always tell her, I think being your neighbor, it had an effect on me because I kind of watched you go from mayor to judge and
Councilman,
she was council president too, yeah.
Then to mayor, then to judge. She influenced me as well.
Yeah.
It's interesting that you said that.
Yeah. And then her daughter was on council, and I knew her well. And former Mayor Chuck Pickering is a friend of mine, and our former councilman Ken Mell was also my neighbor in
I
that
knew Ken
community.
Mell.
Yep. And then we had a lot of police officers. We had some federal agents in the area, in the neighborhood, like
They
FBI and
did.
stuff.
Oh,
And
that's exciting.
so there were all these people around in government, and in high school and college, I had zero interest in politics. It just didn't have a connection to it. You know, I was into a lot of other stuff, but it wasn't until my mid-20s, maybe 24, 25, 26, that I started to kind of get on my radar that, oh, what's going on at City Hall, you know?
Yeah.
And it was really Peter, actually, that kind of said, you know, this might be something you might want to get into. And so I kind of
Thought about it.
thought about it. Yeah, got my wheels turning. Yeah, exactly.
Well, okay, so being that you were in the city since you were about 12, what is your vision like long term? What do you see? What do you think the priorities are? How are you going to try to make this a city that you think, you know what I mean, elevates? What is your long term goals?
Yeah, there's a few things that are at the top of my mind. And, you know, back to public safety, that's key.
Yep.
The other big piece is economic development. We got a lot of vacant storefronts. We have vacant city property. We have, you know, vacant commercial properties, warehouses, that kind of stuff. We want to keep it a family-friendly city, but we want also some entertainment value too, like we used to have, where we have nightlife and restaurants and those kinds of things.
Yep.
I'm seeing a lot of activity all around us. You know, Livonia's got the freeway exits. There's a lot of businesses there. Canton's kind of all filled up. You're seeing a lot of development come down from Dearborn Heights, Garden City. Those are all kind of filling up, and we're right here in the middle. But we have this core area around Westland Mall and City Hall. Warren Road is getting more activity. There's another business coming in near Westland Mall where the old Panera was. It's going to become a bakery and coffee house.
That's good to
yeah, they just
hear.
announced that this week that they're coming into Westland. So that'll be in the fall. And then there's some restaurants looking at some of our vacant properties that we're talking to. We have a new economic development director, Alex Garza, who I worked closely with at the state, and then he decided to come with me down here. And he's somebody that I work really closely with every day because he's a hardworking guy, and he's the kind of person he's reaching out to the businesses, asking them to look at Westland. So that was important to me, to have somebody pretty aggressive in that role. But you know, my vision for the city is, again, it's family friendly, safe, things to do. I want people to be able to come into Westland and have a good time and enjoy themselves with their families. Friendly to seniors, compassionate to all people. We have a lot of immigrants who come here now and who are living here, people from all walks of life. So it's a welcoming city for everybody. Yeah.
Well, I would say, and I don't know if I should say that on this show, I was just talking to Dr. Jackson. He was from Wayne County, and you know, he was talking about volunteerism. And it's like there is nothing that brings a community together like working on projects together, servicing people who are needy. And like, so I just think, you know, with children, and I was even thinking like even the high school kids, like if it's winter and you could, you know, pull the snow off the driveway and of a neighbor who's elderly, but it's like they have to have so many hours of things. It's like, why couldn't we do senior programs, or let's help people who are, you know, single moms with kids. I mean, they don't have time for yard work. They're too busy putting food on the table. But I mean, it was be like, I just really love to see, like you said, a community that treats each other with respect, helps those who have less than you do. And I just think that really enriches your heart, but it certainly enriches the population and in turn enriches the community. And I just think that's great.
I'm with you.
I like to make people happy too.
Yeah, I love that.
Is there anything you'd else like to tell the viewing audience? Anything that you see coming up? Anything you want to share?
You know, I would just say, you know, this is, it's crazy how fast this has all gone. You know, I was elected to council in 2013, and this is my 10th year in office, representing Westland in some capacity, whether it was city council, state rep, now my first year as mayor. And being in office for 10 years, it seems like a long time, but it's gone by fast.
Yeah.
And, you know, my goals are kind of the same as they always were. And I've picked up on some of the things that Mayor Wild put into place. You know, we're going to be doing a park and outdoor gathering space, an amphitheater right here on city-owned property where the old service merchandise was. We're bringing in new business investment. We're bolstering our public safety. We're looking at more housing and mixed-use development near the mall.
Yeah, I was going to talk to you about that because, you know, the brick and mortar shops, okay, and it's not just Westland Mall. I mean, I think all of the malls are suffering somewhat from people, you know, ordering online, going to Amazon, blah, 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 whatever, okay, but yeah, mixed things would be a good thing. You can't consolidate one thing and expect it really to survive, so I think that's really great. That's something to really think about.
It is, and you know, I'm
possibilities.
encouraged because the company that owns the mall, they were just kind of sitting on it for the last 10, 15 years and just kind of letting it go, but they're at a point now where they're actually meeting with us and with developers and actually having those conversations now. So that's progress. You know, you're not seeing anything happen just yet, but I am really encouraged that in the next year or two, we'll see some big projects over there. And my goal is to create density around there to spur more development in this whole part of town. It's really the core of our city right here.
It always has been. Westland Mall. It was one of the 4 malls. The first mall, I think, in the United States. Wasn't it Westland Mall? I think it was.
It may have been, yeah.
Yeah.
We're named after the mall. Yeah, the mall came first, yeah.
Yes.
Yeah.
But, you know, I mean, you can sit on real estate, but when it deteriorates and there's nothing there, it doesn't do you much good and it doesn't have as much value. So certainly thinking about that now, they can see the writing on the wall. Perfect time to make some plans, I think.
Yep, absolutely.
Okay.
Yep, and you know, in addition to that, it's just about keeping our neighborhoods safe, clean, making sure they get good services. We've expanded our parks department now, so they have more resources and staffing. They can do more programming in all parts of town. So, you know, I try to look at every piece of the city, whether you're on the north end, over here in the middle. I live in the middle, kind of right around here, or the south end. You know, there's looking at making sure we're supporting the schools, making sure the police are covering every part of town. You know, it's the big picture. So
it is the big picture. And I think, you know, having leaders in all areas of the city is really important as well. You know, you have to have those role models, people who are activists and people who say, you know, let's go ahead and get this rolling, and people who take an initiative to change things. It's easy to do this all the time, okay? But it's really, it's the people who get it moving and have the ability to be leaders in all the parts. It's not just you, it's us as well, it's the community as well, it's the neighborhoods as well. It all makes one happy life.
Yeah, I'm excited to keep working hard.
Well,
so.
great. Well, thank you for coming in and talking today. We'll have to do that again. It's nice to keep people aware of what you're looking at and what your whole idea is. I know that you like talking with residents one-on-one, and that's a great thing as well. So if somebody needs to talk to you or make you aware of a situation or wants to say something, can they email you?
They can email our office. We get back to everybody. It's mayor@cityofwestland.com. Or you just call City Hall, and we, during business hours, Monday through Friday, 9 to 5, somebody's going to pick up the phone and talk to you in my office.
Great.
So that's the main line to City Hall, 713-3888. You hit 9, and that gets you to the mayor's office. So,
Great.
Yep, we're here to help everybody out. And thanks for all your hard work, too. You're doing a heck of a job over there.
It's my pleasure. I love what I do there, and you know what? You love what you do. So that's the important thing. And I want to tell you, you know, I appreciate you taking the time. I know you're busy all the time. So thanks for being here, filling in some of our residents on what your goals and achievements have been, and we look forward to hearing more.
Thanks, Barb.
Thanks, Mayor. And thank you to the viewing audience who's with us today. I'm Barbara Marcum. This is Friendship Focus.